How are my favorite AFDA students doing? Well, hopefully wonderful. Today, we're going to be working with this video lesson 15, more with slope and writing equations of lines. And our objective for today is find the slope and y-intercept off graphs. We know how to do that, I think. We can find slope with 2 points or use slope to find a missing coordinate if we have to. You're going to see that. That might be the toughest thing we're going to do today. In addition, we're going to use the point-slope formula, something maybe new for some of you, and the slope-intercept form to write the equation of lines. So probably about half of that objective we already know how to do. You guys know about slope. You know about the slope formula. You know about y-intercept. You know about slope-intercept form. You probably don't know this one yet about point-slope form, or maybe it's been a while since you've done that. Let's take a look at the first example. It says, what is the slope, the m, and the y-intercept, the b, of each of the following lines? Well, line E, let's look at this one. It's down here. It's going upward as we read it left to right. So we know it's going to have positive slope. It's real simple. Most of y'all can find the y-intercept straight away. So that looks like that's going to be down. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that y-intercept is going to be -4 right there. Now the slope, we just got to maybe find 2 points that are probably simple to read. I'm going to grab that one right there, that 1, -1, and the y-intercept, which is right there. So I'm going to count up 1, 2, 3, and then to the right 1. So if I use my delta y over my delta x to organize, I went up +3 and to the right 1. So that's in the fraction form. As an integer, it is just 3. Now, this line H right here, it's going down as you move left to right, so that's probably negative slope, just in the back of my mind. Again, the y-intercept, all we have to do is count how far up or down from the origin the line passes through the y-axis. So it looks like it goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it looks like we have a b value of 5. The slope, remember, is going to be negative. Negative what? Well, let's grab 2 points. Maybe those 2 right there. It looks like we count down 1 and then to the right 2. So if I use my delta y over my delta x, you might use rise over run, RYSE, doesn't matter. We didn't rise, we fell, so we went down -1 and we went to the right 2. So the slope of this line is -1/2 or 1/2. Now, you guys know about slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. So if you were asked, like you are down below there, to write the equation of these lines, for line E, for this one right here, write this down below there. I'll rewrite it in a second. Y equals, remember we're going to put that m value in front of the x. It's going to be 3x. The b is going to go behind there, which is negative or -4. So that's our first equation that we'd write. The second one, I'm going to squeeze it right underneath here. You guys, let's move it down a second. That's going to be y equals, that m is -1/2. That's going to go in front of the x, plus our b, which is going to be a +5 behind it. So we'll transpose those in a second. But again, 2 things you need to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form is the m and the b. And you found both of those off the graph. So let's slide down. I'll recopy those, or try to here in a second. All right, so let me rewrite those in there for your notes here real quick. Oops, sorry. So the first one was, well, we write y equals mx plus b. And I think for E, we wrote down y equals 3x minus 4. And for line H, we wrote y equals -1/2 x plus, what was that, 5? So those are equal signs right there. Now, you guys know about using the Desmos calculator. You know about the slope slope formula, which says y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And then you also know about y sub 1 tilde mx sub 1 plus b. Remember, that's what you're using on your Desmos right here. Okay? So you can find slope using both of those. So whichever method you choose, you can definitely do that. So I think what this wants us to do is maybe type those in our Desmos calculator. So let's review that real quick. So let me grab my Desmos. Okay? And I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to hit the table. The points that I have are, let me peek over here real quick, 5, 7. So I'm going to type in 5 and 7. And then I'm going to type in the next point, which is negative 1, 4. Negative 1, 4. Now remember, I've got to go to calculation box and type in that y sub 1, that tilde m x sub 1 plus b. Okay? And that gives me, I think, everything that you need there. Make sure I did that right. 5, 7. Let me clear this out of the way here, guys. Sorry. So, looks like we get a slope of, it gets out of the way, 0.5. And what we said before is that if we got that of 0.5, we can put that in there. So we can put 0.5 and then hit this little fraction icon right there to the left. And it tells you that the slope there is 1/2. Okay? So, that's definitely one way we can do it. Let's go back to the lesson here real fast. Okay? So, what was the other information it gave you on there? Well, it gave you B. We knew that the slope, let's write that over here, was equal to 1/2. Okay? Now, what is the slope of the line through these points right here? Well, let's use the slope formula, which is right up here for us. We're going to write down x and y and x and y. And maybe we'll call this one 0.2 and this one 0.1. Now, little trick, guys. I always make the one with the most negatives my first point. You'll see why in a second. Because as we use the formula, we're going to say y sub 2, which is 3, minus my y sub 1, which is negative 9, all over top of my x for 2, which is negative 1, minus my x sub 1, which is negative 3. Well, right here, folks, minus a negative changes both of those to positives. So I've got 3 plus 9, which is 12, all over top of negative 1 plus 3, which is 2. So I think my slope there is going to be 6. Check it out and see if we did that right. Again, you could have used your Desmos for that, totally up to you. But let's head over to example 3. See what we have going on over here. Now, we just used the slope formula, and in that slope formula, we had, let's see, m equals y sub 2 minus y sub 1 all over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And we were able to plug in all these values right here. My y sub 2, if I can write this out of the way, my y sub 1, my x sub 2, and my x sub 1. Well, there's some problems that occur in algebra that sort of manipulate this formula. We use this to find m. In this problem, they gave you the m, and they want you to find one of these check coordinates over here. So how would we set that up? Well, just sort of use this base formula. Now we have m, so we could start this whole thing. We have m y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. I'll get out of the way and let you look at that. Now, we have the m. So let me check that for you. We can go ahead and write down x and y here. Maybe we'll stay with the thing I do. I can do 2 and then maybe 1 there. doesn't matter. So we have our x sub 2, we have our y sub 2, we have our y sub 1, but we don't have this guy right here. It's an unknown. It's a w. So let's just plug in what we have and see what we can do with it. So the m is what? What did it tell us? 1/2. The y sub 2 is 6. The y sub 1 is 4. All over our x sub 2, which is 5, minus our x sub 1, which is w. Okay? So we got 1/2 there. Now, back in middle school, maybe you cross multiply. You did 1 times this 5 minus w. Now, 6 minus 4 is the same thing as what, folks? 6 minus 4 is the same thing as 2. So we cross multiply there, we really get 2 times 2, which is what? 4. So we have 5 minus w is equal to 4. Can y'all figure out in your head what w is? 5 minus what number is 4? Well, of course, w is equal to 1, and you just solve that. Now, let's look at one more of those, because if those show up, I don't want y'all to be confused. So I'm going to use this same formula up here. Now remember, I'm given m, and I'm given 3 out of the 4 of the coordinates. So let's set this up. Maybe we'll go x and y and x and y. And let's stay with it. Let's just call this 2, and these guys 1 right there. Okay? So we have our slope, which is -3, all equal to our y sub 2, which is n, minus our y sub 1, which is 2, all over our x sub 2, which is -3, minus -5. So again, I have that minus negative situation, which is a positive right there. So real quick, I'm going to change that -3 plus 5, and I'm going to call this whole thing down here 2. Now, in order to cross multiply, if you remember, that -3 really has a 1 underneath there. So I'm going to cross multiply here. I'm going to do 1 times n minus 2, which is n minus 2. I'm going to do -3 times 2, which is -6. So here's what I have to solve. Now you can figure this out, or if you wanted to, use the property of equality, just like we did earlier this year, and figure out that n is going to equal -4. Now you found that unknown value there. Okay, so just a little bit more to go here, folks. So let's talk about example 4. It says if the slope is -2 and the y-intercept is 4, what is the equation of the line? Now remember the last lesson, we were just sort of dropping the slope and the y-intercept in a formula, y equals mx plus b, so we sort of wrote it this way. Something m in front of the x and something b behind it, and we just had to drop those two values in. So in this case, it looks like our m is right here. So that's -2. It looks like our b is right there. That's 4. So we'd write down y equals -2x plus 4 for our answer there. So if we look at something called the point slope form, here's what it looks like. It says that y minus a y from your point is equal to m times x minus x from your point. So these little subscripts are telling you that those come from any point on the line, and slope you already know about, that's your m value. So let me slide that up, and let's see if it's just as simple as that first question we did. So, let's take a peek. It says use a point slope form and write the equation of a line with the slope of -2 through the point -5, 7. So we have an x, a y, and an m. So there's an m, there's an x, there's a y. Now these are our little points from our points, so those are my little subscripts with 1. So all we got to do is plug those in. So we're going to have y minus 7 is going to equal m of -2 times x minus -5. Now, we probably want to clean that up a little bit. So my final answer might look like this. Y minus 7 equals negative 2 times x plus 5. Because again, minus a negative is a positive. Not too bad, right? Well, let's look at this one. Okay, it says write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form through the points 4, negative 4, and 5, 2. It says using the Desmos. So let's use the Desmos again. Excuse me. I think I already have it set up, sort of. I've already got some things in there, so let me type in what we need up top here. So the first point is what? The first point is 4, negative 4. 4, negative 4. And my second point is, you guys can help me. Let me look at my notes over here. Second point is 5, 2. So I'm going to type in 5, 2 right there in my table. And it tells me that the slope, right over here, folks, the slope, let me get this out of the way, is 6. And the y-intercept is negative 28. Now over here it even graphs the line for you on there, so if you need to check something out, you'd be in good shape. So let's go back and write the equation of that line. So we did y equals, what was our slope again? Our slope was 6 x minus 28. That's our b value. So again, we're dropping those in. Y equals some m value going in front of my x plus some b value going behind there. Now again, that's minus 28 was what our b value was. So our m was 6. Our b was negative 28. So that's where those bad boys are. So that's in slope-intercept form. Well, now it wants us to write it in point-slope form. So what do we have to do? Well, we need a slope and a point that's on the line, any point on the line. So the slope was what? The slope was 6, so we can put that outside the parentheses. Let's pick a point on the line. Let me grab the two positive ones. My x value right there, that I'm going to put right there, is a 5. So I'm going to put minus 5 there. Over on the left side here, I need a y minus the y from the point, which is 2. And those are the same thing, folks. If you distributed that and you manipulated that equation, these guys are the same, okay? These guys are the same equation. Okay? Now, last one here. Real simple one to finish up. We're going to write this guy in point slope. It gives us the point. It gives us the slope. But let's see some trickery here. So we're going to go y minus our point y value, our y coordinate. That's going to equal our m, which is negative 1. And we're going to take x minus our x coordinate, which is negative 1. Now you already know what I'm going to do here. Minus a negative, I'm going to change that to a positive. So right there, I'm going to write x plus 1. Over here, I don't have any cleanup to do, so I'm just going to write y minus 8. And I'm going to equal to, what's my m value? It's negative 1. Now, sometimes I use some trickery and put a 1 there, but if you wanted to, you could do negative 1. So big key right there. Well, folks, here's what we did today. We expanded what we could do with some slope, some calculations of that slope formula. See how they might monkey around with you there? We used another form called point slope form to set up an equation. And again, point slope, all you need is a point and the slope to write that equation. Just like in slope intercept, you need the slope and the y-intercept. I don't know how they come up with the names. But anyway, there they are, folks. Thanks for watching.